Okay, so here we are at the servants' quarters bonfire in the Lost Bastille, and I said I would come back here in the last little segment. So, another pursuer that we can fight. So really, these guys are giving us Twinkling Titanite and about 6,000 souls. Um, Twinkling Titanite is rare in this game. There's really not an easy way to find it or to buy it or anything. So the easiest way is like near the end of the game. So whatever these guys drop, if you're gonna need that upgrade material, it's best to kill these guys. There's the large club. There's some Twinkling Titanite. And there's a chest right here. With the priest's chime. So that's not that great, but if you're a cleric, you might look into that. If you use a Pharaoh's Lockstone here, you'll actually unlock a side area. Now, I'm not really planning on doing much here, other than to talk to this guy and show you that he exists.
The bell belongs to the princess, it do. Stay back and we slice you to bits. In my chunks, we shan't be left.
This is a PvP covenant called the Bellkeepers. And if you join them, you can invade a person if they enter this area. I'm kind of worried that I'm going to get invaded, but hopefully we're lucky and I don't. And that gray fog over there means I'm being invaded. That's a really easy way to tell. And it says you can join the Bellkeepers. Even if you join and you step in here, you're not safe. So, I'm not going to join. I'll stay in the way of blue. But if you want to fight other people without really having to do much, but put a ring on and wait, you might try that. I got invaded by this guy. Not this little guy, but a guy named, he called his character Havel something. So I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up in Havel armor. Yep, how about that? Using a two-handed, flame-buffed greatsword. That shouldn't have hit me. I'm really not ready for PvP. Brought out a parry shield just in case. And there you go. And that shouldn't have hit me either, but there we go. Really wasn't prepared for PvP. That's okay. And he invaded red, which means I think he invaded with a different covenant. So that wasn't even a Bellkeeper covenant, because you show up gray if you do the Bellkeepers. I'm going to quickly run through this area, if I can. I guess I'll kill this guy. They have a lot of health and they do a lot of damage. I mean, look at that. And this really isn't like a super tough area. You can totally be in this area just fine. It's just that they do a ton of damage. And I'll miss. I've never liked the vertical swings, but I like the mace. Mace is a good weapon for damage and for other stuff. The moveset is just not my fave. That's okay. Suppose I should probably put on this shield. That fog down there is for a boss. It'll also show up if you're being invaded, and if you haven't beaten the boss. And I'm being invaded again, alright. If you haven't beaten the boss, it'll be foggy, and if you get invaded, it'll be foggy, but if there's no easy way to tell unless you beat the boss. But you have to ring the bell there to get the boss going. Or to open up the door. And that guy fell down here thinking he was gonna get me. I'm gonna heal. And he's following me again. Quickly switch to the cat ring. That way I can just fall down the ladder. He can fall down if he wants. He almost probably died there. And I made it through the fog without him actually getting me. I probably could have hit him and killed him, but that's okay. Back to the circle. So I really didn't want to do this boss at this time, but that's perfectly fine, because that's the only official way or real way to send a person home if they invade you without quitting your game, you know, alt-tabbing on PC or whatever. So I guess I'm okay with this. Alright, so Belfry Gargoyles. They start out with 2 of these guys coming out to attack you. And their trick is that if you get one to about half health, it'll set out a new one. So you'll have 3 attacking you. So that's kind of what's happening. Even though they're not really at half health, I now have 3. That's not really a good situation to be in. You kind of want to try and pick one, stay with it, damage it, and then when you hear the other one getting in, finish it quickly, so you're always at 2. But if you do have 3, just try and pay attention to all of them. I would still stay locked on during this though, because that's the best way to keep track of all of them, in my opinion. If you free camera this battle here, you probably aren't going to be able to see very much. Probably going to take a hit there. Maybe not. But it's kind of worth it to kill one. So now, I'm deciding I want to get this guy, I think. And I probably shouldn't have hit him there, but I guess I'm dealing with 3 more now. A lot of this fight is just knowing what to dodge when. Whenever they fly over your head like this, they do a jab forward, always straight forward, so you should be able to just roll out of the way. Still sticking towards this one. Another fire breath attack. If I can get under him, maybe I can hit him a couple more times. Or not. Life gems are kind of helping at this time because I don't really have a lot of flasks. Probably should have just gone for the hit. That way I could kill this guy. So, when I was saying in a previous video I would do like 2 out of 3 bosses, this was kind of the one I was planning on skipping. At this point, I think I'll be able to finish it. When you reach about half health, if you have 2 gargoyles left, pretty much only call in 1 more. So if I can quickly kill this guy, which he wasn't a problem, I was able to kill him without this 3rd guy coming over. So, really, that's the trick to it. This boss fight actually can get to the point where you can have 4 gargoyles attacking you at once. If you have 2 of them at half health, and this is like the beginning of the battle, then they will send out 2 extras. So 4 gargoyles, maybe even more. I think 4 is the limit. But the real trick to battling these guys, and pretty much any boss, is don't attack every time you think you have to. Spend a couple minutes trying to dodge attacks, knowing what works best. So I know when he does that fire breath that he's going to do that for a while. So if I can get behind him and keep the other guy away, or keep him distracted, I should be able to finish it. And we'll just end the gargoyles. That's a tough fight. It's kind of a surprise, optional thing I didn't really want to do, but that's really cool that we did. I'm gonna run backwards because there is some loot that I wasn't able to grab because I was being invaded. And the best thing about it is if I get invaded again, I can just go through the fog door into the boss arena that'll show up. And I'll be able to move straight in there, won't have to fight anything, the guy will get sent home, I can always run back if I need to. These guys just do so much damage. Kinda crazy. I mean, look at that. He's shooting me with some arrows. And I'm losing most of my health. You know, if I didn't block that last one on my way back here, then he probably could have killed me. I think this is the last one, so I should be able to grab the other item up here. Really nothing that great. And there's nothing else around here, so I'm gonna head back down. Surprised I haven't been invaded yet. Got invaded by 2 separate people when I was trying to run through here for the boss, and now that the boss is done, I can't get invaded. Well, I mean, I can, but I just haven't. That's really strange. Southern Ritual Band is for, it's for attuning extra spells, or getting extra attunement slots. So if you are a spellcaster and you need an extra slot or 2, then that's the ring for you. I personally don't really use it because I think there are better rings you can use as a spellcaster, but early on, if you do this fight this early, it might be nice to have. Now, this area kind of sucks, not because it's really that hard, it's just they throw in like 8 of these undead dogs. I'm gonna try and kill as many as I can. Maybe I can get them to crowd around the bottom of the ladder here and I can do a plunging attack. Or not. At least they're dying in 1 hit right now. You're gonna get invaded if you're human. That's fine. It's a computer. He's not too tough. I love parrying and riposting in this game. Or backstabs too. In this game in particular, just because everything's unique and it feels amazing when you're able to pull it off. you know, knocking them back and then them basically sitting there waiting for you to attack them is just really cool. And the backstab effects are really sweet. Like halberds, you send them flying into the air and then you slam them back into the ground. The mace does the overhand frickin' swing and you bash them on the head. In other Souls games, it's just a simple, like, stab. It's kind of boring. But in this game, it's unique. So we went down there and we picked up the Enchanted Falchion. It's like a scimitar. It does some bleed damage, and it's also enchanted, so that means that sorcerers might use it. And Dragon Tooth, which is in Dark Souls 1 and in this game and in 3. It's the great hammer that Havel used. And it's literally a dragon's tooth. From the backstory of the first game, there were gray, stone, everlasting dragons. And this just happens to be a tooth from one. Havel was so badass that he just kind of got a tooth and decided to use that. I believe it'll never break, and it gives you like increased resistance, so to like fire and magic, just having it equipped. So I guess I'll turn these souls in if she ever stands up. Let's put some points into adaptability. I guess everything into adaptability. And we'll go to Sinner's Rise, the Salt Fort bonfire. That's really the only one there, so you can't really go anywhere else. It's basically Lost Bastille still. It's just that they made this a new place because there's a very unique boss that we're going to fight. And we're actually progressing to the end of this area. A lot of people in this game complained that it felt very linear, that things didn't loop around. So, like, in Dark Souls 1, you could go through an area, and it would have a potential to be the back door to another area, which was a back door to another area, which was a back door to an area you had already visited. So it made a giant circle, basically, and you could just keep following that around if you wanted to. In Dark Souls 2, that doesn't happen very often. There really are no ways back. You can go forward, but you can't really go backwards, so you can't really do endless circles. And I don't really care about that too much. I see what they're saying. So I guess this is kind of the end of one of the straight linear paths. And you're going to want your torch on fire. Maybe not right now. That was kind of early. But at the bottom of this elevator, we're going to want a lit torch. So you can either light it at the bonfire, or if you have flame butterflies, and I'm assuming you do because I do, then you should be able to just light it and then light that. Awesome kite shield. So that's like the grass crest shield from the first game. It gives you increased stamina regeneration. So it's actually not a bad shield. I don't think it has super high defense in terms of really anything. Maybe physical is like 80 or something like that. I'll have to look at some time. And yeah, this is another Flexile Sentry. He's just gonna kind of show up in maybe one or two more areas as a side kind of mini boss. So we kind of know how to deal with him. He's see some of the freaky stuff that he can actually do with his scimitars and his clubs. He can decide to switch at will. He doesn't ever really do that during his actual boss fight, but it's cool now to see these other attacks that he can actually do. I'm really not trying to focus on the scimitar side of this, but it just, you know, that's how it's working out. Eventually, he's going to want to back up and go back to where he was, so you just try and keep him here so that you can get him. Because I guess for whatever reason, he gets stuck right here. Now, in the base game for Dark Souls 2, there are some weird-looking creatures that are down here instead. And they kind of do a lot of damage, and I think there's like 2 or 3 of them. So, you might, if you're playing the base game and you happen, and you're, you know, watching this, you might wonder exactly why he's not there. Really, they changed the game a lot when Scholar the First Sin came out. It's same boss fights and stuff, but the enemy placements are completely different. There's more of certain enemies and less of others. Like, the weird enemies that are here in the base game, like, don't show up anywhere else except for, like, one place, kinda hidden. So, it's pretty cool that they switched it up. Basically made me want to play Dark Souls 2 pretty much all over again, just to discover it. Or rediscover it. So the Bastille key we picked up after the Ruined Sentinels will unlock these doors down here. And there are more doors up ahead that we're going to want the lit torch for to light up the boss area. But opening this one, you can get the spear that those guys are using, and you get a fire seed to upgrade your pyromancy flame, so that your pyromancies are stronger. So if you happen to use fire magic, which I never actually showed off, but if you're happening to use that, that's something you're going to want to do. So yeah, you know, you could totally skip Ruined Sentinels, and you can skip Forest Fallen Giants, but if you don't do Forest Fallen Giants, you do have to go back there later at some point. And I'm gonna summon Lucatiel now, because this is one of her 4 boss fight locations, and she'll be kinda helpful. And yes, rolling in water puts the torch out. I have no idea why I keep rolling, but there we go. Anyway, you're going to have to go back to Forest Fallen Giants at the end of the game. So, really, I recommend doing both ways. But if you have to pick a way, pick the Forest way. Hades Tower Flame can wait. There's really nothing in there that's like, oh my god, that's awesome. Or No Man's Wharf. There's really nothing in there that's too amazing either. You're just missing out on a few boss weapons and stuff that you can make from their souls. Plus, if you skip, you know, the other half of the beginning area, you choose one side to go with, then you're really saving yourself like 2 hours of gameplay. I'm going to light that just in case something goes on. But I want to show that the key, you don't really have to run in there and grab the items down there. The key will open up these side doors here too. So you can kind of just kill the flexile sentry, come up here, and open up these doors without having to worry about much. And then you can skip that whole water area so you don't have to deal with the exploding guys. So before you start this boss fight, if you have the key, you should do this. You come over here and you open these doors. There's one on this side and one on the other. And you light this oil on fire because it lights some stuff up and it'll help you see in the boss fight. Move, Lucatiel. Seriously, move. There we go. You gotta be careful with her. She's a tank, and she can kind of do some decent damage when she wants, but her AI can be really stupid. I've seen her fall into the water before off this bridge, and I've seen her like get pushed from those doors. So this boss here is one of the 4 main bosses that we have to fight to get to our destination. So there's going to be a special cutscene, and there's going to be a ton of lore about it. I'm probably not going to get into it that much, but let's watch. And kind of an interesting fight. Alright, so the Lost Sinner is a somewhat tricky fight. Lucatiel will stand here and she'll be able to absorb some damage. So, and I guess if she wants to move at all, she can help with this fight. But this is kind of a tricky fight only because of what the Lost Sinner can do. The attacks, there's a lot of thrusting attacks like that, but it can also like jump over you and stab you. It can jump backwards. It's got really wide swings because the sword is super long. A lot of overswings. It's helping that, you know, the boss is really focusing on Lucatiel. But it's also kind of a bad thing, because for you to finish Lucatiel's quest, she has to survive every encounter. I guess she can die, but if you finish it when she dies, it doesn't count. So, if you want this to count as one of the 3 fights you have to summon her in for, then she has to live. And she's kind of low on health right now because she just stood there and tanked for half of the beginning of the fight. The trick to this boss is just timing and waiting for the attacks, you know, like that thrust. You can get behind pretty easy. Lucatiel should be your biggest, you know, help right now. You should be able to absorb pretty much all the damage. So yeah, that was kind of it's not a super hard fight. Now, I was kind of talking it up. I said, oh, you know, this is one of the 4 main bosses that you have to fight, and then, you know, I didn't really struggle at all with it. The game will get a little more challenging, especially in the DLCs. But, yeah, to me, it's kind of the first one you're supposed to do. Because, like I said, both Hades Tower Flame and Forest of Fallen Giants end up here, and those are the most obvious choices of where you go. The other choices are kind of out of the way, so you might not even really
You have
know where to
acquired the
go after
soul
you
of
do
an
this if
old
you haven't
foe.
been looking around.
That is more than most undead can say.
You know what? I was gonna put some more into Dex because I might not want to use this mace anymore. But I'm gonna put it into Intelligence and Faith. It's not really useful for me to do that, but I want to talk to Falcon the Outcast, who is your Hexer guy. And I want to talk to the Sorcerer guy, because the Sorcerer guy will move here and not be all the way in No Man's Wharf for no reason. And Falcon the Outcast sells a certain ring that's kind of helpful if you keep dying. So I always like to go over to him and buy it. So we'll run back in here, probably skip everything. Maybe not. Actually, no, because I think the ring's like 5,500 to buy, so I kind of need to get my souls up. Alright, I think for now, I'm gonna run over here. Make sure I talk to him.
I sense power. Very well. From this day,
And now he'll talk to you, because you
I
have the
am
intelligence.
Carillion of the fold. Now, do not be afraid. Let young pupil.
Yeah, so back to Majula he goes, and we'll use a homeward bone to get out of here. This is gonna be just kind of picking stuff up, cleaning up just a little bit. I'll travel to Hade's Tower of Flame real quick. The only reason being is that the guys here can give me more souls. So like, I'll go after this guy here. And I completely forgot that the Hade Knights are now pissed. This is what happens. Whoa. Oops. Well, okay. The Hade Knights come awake when you defeat the Dragon Rider, like I said before. So that's why I did the old Dragon Slayer before. Because otherwise you end up with all these guys patrolling and attacking you in other fights. They're already kind of hard just by themselves. Maybe I can get an attack in. Probably not, though. Backstab. There we go. And now there's another one. Well, maybe if I'm lucky, I'll be able to get some more gear. Alright. So I think I have enough to actually buy that ring. So Huntsman's Copse is my next destination. Now, I'm only really gonna go here to talk to Falcon the Outcast. I don't know if I want to do Huntsman's Copse as my next official area.
My name is Falcon. I will track with you. What do you need?
So he sells the Chaos Rapier, which is actually a really good rapier. Had a B scaling in Dex and a B scaling in Fire. And he sells, you know, some miscellaneous stuff. But really, he sells all these dark hexes here. So he is your most basic hexer guy. There is another hexer guy that we'll run into. And there's kind of a hexing covenant. So it's really cool. Just kind of the... I really like hexing in this game. It's pretty powerful, but it's really unique. Lots of stuff that you can do. That ring's a little bit more expensive than I thought it was going to be, but that's okay.
Always within you.
And he will stay there. It's kind of boring and kind of lame that he's there. Because, you know, it'd be nice if he moved back to Majula, but hexing is kind of a forbidden dark art type thing. So, I can see why he wouldn't. That's the Blossom Kite Shield that that person had for stamina recovery, so not a bad shield. Not great, but not bad. Alright, so let's see. We've got Shaded Woods. Actually, that's Huntsman's Copse. Shaded Woods here. And then we've got a couple more areas. There's the gutter. That could be our next area. Probably thinking Huntsman's Copse or Shaded Woods first before the gutter. They're both kinda okay, but we've also got that side area, the Grave of Saints. But I don't know if I'm gonna do that. If I go do that, I'll probably do the gutter next. But, you know, we can pretty much go anywhere we want at this point. And all these areas we've already unlocked. All these beginning areas, Majula, you know, things betwixt Forest Fallen Giants, Hades Tower of Flame, No Man's Wharf, Lost Bastille, all that takes up like 7 or, you know, 8 or 9 or whatever warping locations. Looks like 9. An eighth of the way through the game. So we're actually on a pretty good roll here. Probably Huntsman's Copse or Shaded Woods next time. We'll see what happens. So thank you for watching, and I hope it was helpful. I'll see you in the next video.